Okay, today we're going to talk about one of the most notoriously difficult books ever written, James Joyce's Finnegans Wake. But we're not just going to talk about how hard it is. We're going to talk about a secret weapon, a kind of musical key that might just unlock the whole thing.
Yeah, that quote, it pretty much says it all right. If you've ever tried to crack this book open, you know exactly what this means. It's more than just a difficult read. It's like a linguistic hurricane. You don't just read it, you have to kind of survive it. So here's a wild thought. What if we've been coming at this thing all wrong? What if the key isn't trying to decipher it with our eyes, but with our ears? What if Finnegans Wake was never meant to be just a book, but more like a symphony in disguise?
All right, let's get right into it. Before we get to the solution, we have to appreciate the problem. Finnegans Wake really isn't a straightforward novel. It's a labyrinth. It's like Joyce wrote down a dream in a language that keeps shifting and melting right on the page.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. For those who stick with it, something amazing happens. All that initial chaos starts to settle, and you begin to hear a pattern, a rhythm. You stop trying to read it word for word, and you start to feel it, like a really complex piece of music that has its own strange, beautiful logic. And that's where our musical key comes in. It's a whole song cycle designed to pull out one specific, clear thread from this massive tapestry of words, what we can call the Irish story. Think of it like a tuning fork for your brain, getting you tuned in to the book's frequency before you even read a single page.
So, just to be clear what we mean by a song cycle here, this isn't a summary or a shortcut. It's more like a guided tour. Imagine you're listening to a huge symphony for the first time, and you've got a guide pointing out, listen for that melody right there. That's exactly what these songs do for Finnegans Wake. Now, the guide on this musical journey is a singer named Casey Kenny. But here's the really cool part. Casey isn't a person. She's an AI voice, custom created specifically to sing these ancient, complicated words with a kind of modern digital precision. And Casey Kenny's voice is something else. In her lower range, she sounds grounded, resonant. It feels like she's right there, almost speaking in your ear. But then her voice just soars into this higher range that's bright, luminous, almost weightless. It's a voice that feels both ancient and brand new at the same time. And this is exactly why an AI singer is so perfect for this. See, the point isn't to put on a big dramatic performance. In fact, the music itself is also AI generated, built from prompts designed to keep the feel consistent but give each song its own character. The music and the voice have one job: to reveal the text. They act like a crystal clear window, letting you see straight into the heart of Joyce's language. Okay, so we've got this amazing musical key. Now, let's see how it actually unlocks the door. How do these songs decode the dream of Finnegans Wake? We're going to look at a couple of these songs to see how they make Joyce's biggest ideas come alive. This line comes from the song Tim Finnegan Falls Again, and it's based on an old Irish ballad that Joyce was obsessed with. The story is a classic bit of Irish humor. A bricklayer, Tim Finnegan, falls off a ladder and everyone thinks he's dead. But then, at his own wake, someone splashes whiskey on him and he pops right back up. It's this wild, funny story that is the absolute core of the entire book. And here's the genius of it. Joyce takes this silly story and sees in it a cosmic joke. The big idea is that collapse is never the end. It's just part of the cycle. You fall, you die, you have a wake, and you get resurrected to do it all over again. This one idea, this cycle of falling and rising, is the master key to the whole novel. Inside that big cycle, you've got this constant battle between two forces, represented by the twin brothers Shem and Sean. Shem is the artist, the writer. He's all about chaos and creativity. Sean is the postman, the messenger. He's all about society, order, and rules. They're always at odds, but what Joyce is showing us is that you need both. They're two sides of the very same coin. Another song drops us right by a riverbank, listening in on two washerwomen gossiping. And as they talk, you hear a story about some local guy's fall, get twisted and changed with every telling. Facts become rumors, and rumors become myths. And that's pure Joyce. He believes truth isn't some fixed, solid thing. It's a story we all build together, a chorus of different voices blending fact and fiction. Okay, and now we arrive at the book's most brilliant, most mind-bending trick, its structure. Finnegans Wake doesn't just talk about cycles. The book is a cycle. It's a perfect loop with no real beginning and no real end. It literally eats its own tail. Take a look at the very first word of the book, river run. Notice how it's lowercase? There's no capital letter, no period before it. That's because it isn't the start of a sentence. It's actually the end of a sentence that we haven't even gotten to yet.
So here's how the trick works. The very last line of the entire book is an unfinished sentence, and that unfinished sentence flows perfectly into the first word on page 1, creating an eternal loop. The end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. It's a literary serpent, a story that never, ever stops.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's that the structure is the message. Joyce built this endless loop to show us that life, that history, that our own stories, they don't have neat little endings. We are all just constantly falling, waking up and rising again, just like Tim Finnegan. And so this whole musical journey leaves us with this one final, really big question to chew on. If every story is really a circle, if every ending is just a new beginning in disguise, then where does anything really truly start? And what does that mean for the story of our own lives?